You're listening to Open for Discussion, where, man, y'all probably shouldn't have said that. It tends to happen. Let's start the show.
715 East Music Group.
Welcome to Open for Discussion, where any and everything is on the table to be discussed. I'm your host, Albert. And then, oh man.
I thought that was part of it.
This is up on the intro every
time.
show.
Every time. Because I was going to go straight into, I got my lovely wife, Adrian, and I was like, dang it, that's not how I'm supposed to do it.
No.
Oh. And we're rolling.
Get it right.
Welcome to Open for Discussion, where any and everything is on the table to be discussed. I'm your host, Albert, and in the room, I got the whole family with me. To my left is my lovely, beautiful, everything to me wife, Miss Adrian.
Hey, y'all.
I got my boy Diddy Rowe, a.k.a. What It Is.
Sawubona.
Man, it just gets better. It gets better, man.
He's cultured, man.
He is, man. And to the left of him is his lovely bride,
Hey,
Miss
y'all.
Merle. Can you let me introduce you?
My bad.
Miss Merlo.
Good morning, world.
Miss Melandi. And then we got just the queen of the South over here, Miss Kim.
Hey.
That's actually a drug dealer.
My boy Cleek the
Why does not treat him?
My boy G Dub.
Yo.
And of course, the one and only Miss Sabrina.
Hey.
That was low energy. What's the deal with you? I know you ain't had your coffee.
Get me some coffee, then I have some energy.
Man, pull yourself together.
Okay, so we're going to do that today. Okay.
It's good to have everybody in the building. I'm so, I get super excited when everybody's here because we always, as the guys, we have varying opinions. You know, mainly one guy. Not gonna name his name up. But it's always good to have a female perspective on some of the issues that we like to talk about.
Amen.
First off, how is everyone? Is there anything new? Anything going on that you want to share with us? Anything? Sweet.
Get on these topics, man.
Yeah,
Well, sure. I definitely wanted to give this opportunity because, as in the last show, I told y'all that we did purchase the house.
Homeowners.
Yay.
I was going to give this opportunity for my wife to let her, give the full testimony.
The fool?
Yeah, the full. I just told her we got it.
Abbreviated.
Abbreviated. Go ahead, baby.
So, working towards a house a while ago. Started I think around September-ish. Nothing was in line, nothing was in order, nothing was ready. Nope, nada, nothing. So we talked with the owner of the home that we were living in. She gave us an opportunity, a chance to get it together, and God just aligned everything. We take no credit in nothing. Everything got in order to the point where we qualified. We actually got approved for the home without anybody looking at any documentation whatsoever. Got our pre-approval. We went into underwriting without verification of anything.
Come on now.
We didn't need anything until it was time to close.
Come on. Uncommon.
And we closed, and we already had our keys, so we just came home.
Come on now.
That's good right there. It was amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just so proud of you.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, Lord. No, but it's a great feeling. So I ain't gonna discuss it anymore. She said enough. God did it, and that's all you need to know.
That's right.
Now I had a question because I know it's different for other people than it is for me and my wife. I've gotten into little brief spats about this particular topic. Now my question is, how often? This is just a quick question. This is a question that's been bothering me. How often? First of all, we're gonna start with the men. How often do you wash your jeans?
What?
Hey, man. Mind your business, man. Mind your business, dude.
Well, I ask a question like this: how many times do you wear a pair of jeans before you put them in the washer?
Mind your business.
See?
I'm telling you that.
I hope y'all got the right answer.
That's my answer. Mind your business. I won't you say that for the audience? I can't.
Couldn't hear you, Al.
Couldn't hear you.
It's a serious question, man. Because
Gotta hear that every show. What was it?
Especially black jeans.
Black.
Mine are probably because my wife is pretty diligent about washing my clothes. So probably no more than 2 or 3 times, especially if I get a stain on them. Black stands out pretty bad. So about 2 or 3 times before they get tossed in the washer.
Did it roll?
Well, if I don't have any black jeans actually, so all the jeans I got are blue jeans.
Tell me what your dad said about jeans, man.
What did he say?
There's only 2 colors of jeans. I forgot what you said. You said something about, he was like, it's only 2 colors of jeans or something like, it's like black and blue.
Oh yeah, we don't wear no colored jeans in the house.
Not in the hill, baby.
You get stigmatized, you get labeled. But yeah, jeans, man. I'm not a little guy, so I got to be conscious, especially living in Florida where there's a lot of humidity. So, if it's sweaty outside, they go in the washer as soon as I get home. But, hey, man, jeans are durable, and that's why they were built. So if they smell or if they got a stain, they get washed immediately. But durability and the ability to wear them repeatedly without having to wash them is a big benefit of having jeans. So I don't know if there's a specific number. But, yeah, you can definitely wear them a couple times without having to wash them. But, again, there are circumstances that make you need to wash them. So I don't know a specific metric or time or anything like that.
But you wear them more than once.
Oh, heck yeah. If ain't nothing wrong with them, I'm hanging them back up. And plus, I'm from the country, so you got good clothes and bad clothes. You
Absolutely.
Get home, you put your good clothes up so you can wear them again unless they
Plain
dirty.
clothes in the drawer.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, ladies, the floor is yours.
So Cleet never washes his jeans.
That's basically what he said.
Got it.
Why are y'all going to interpret what this guy said? He didn't say that.
Got
I said maybe or maybe not. It's my
business. So they're going to formulate an assumption based on the narrative that they want to present to people.
saying,
Cleet never washes his jeans.
it's my business. You know what I mean?
Ladies?
Okay, I'll go. I agree 100% with my husband. I wear mine a couple times before I put them in the wash, So same with him. I don't wear jeans all day, so once I get home, I put them up and then, wear your house clothes or whatever. But I don't have to throw them in each time, so.
I appreciate that.
I agree. Depending on, for the majority of the time, like if I'm like me, like I sweat at a drop of a dime. I can step outside and start sweating. So if it's like one of those days, they're going to get washed, no matter how many times I got to wash them. But like there's times where like nothing is wrong with them. Like,
Yeah, like if you went to dinner or something.
Yeah, nothing's wrong with them. I'm not, because like certain jeans, like I want to keep the color in them. Like, and if you wash them too many times, like it can, fade away kind of thing. So.
Got you. Breezy?
I have a lot of jeans. So, yeah, just the same as Kim. Ditto.
I appreciate all of that.
I'm different.
You, Bert?
That you just gave.
You're welcome.
I'm different.
Oh, their wife says she's different.
I'm different.
Only time
only time that I repeat is if I've worn them for a very short period of time. Meaning if we went to church really quick, hour, 2 hour, or we did something very briefly the night before.
Last time we went to church for an hour or 2.
Prayer.
Oh, prayer. Okay, prayer.
Yeah. So if I come home from work and I change really quick and I throw on a pair and I go and I come back, I take them off, they go back in the closet. Other than that, they go in the hamper.
What
All
about
the time.
you?
Nah, see, listen.
Tell the truth.
My jeans, man, if I sweat a lot, if I sweat bad in my jeans or if I get a stain on them, I'll be like, just go ahead and wash them. But when I get some fresh jeans, and fresh meaning that they brand new, and like if I say dark colored jeans or dark blue or black jeans, I be 38 hot when I see that they done been put in the dryer, because that means she washed them. And so I already know that now my dark indigo black jeans They are now
Ashy. They ashy now.
ashy black. Just straight, no lotion jeans.
Exactly.
Black. Ashy black is in though.
Yes.
All types of
But
black.
you want it dark
If
black.
you bought the
Sometimes
ashy black jeans,
you want the jet black.
I want the jet black.
You just gotta get the good jeans that don't turn.
Talking about-
No,
bro, do you
no,
still
no,
do you
no,
crease your jeans?
No, they
bro?
don't.
Do you crease
My
some starch
Fashion
in the
Novas don't get ashy.
Absolutely not.
Or if you
My Gucci does.
No, because
if you wash
no,
them
yeah.
and don't put them in the dryer,
Don't
let
put
them
them in
air
the dryer.
dry.
You air dry them.
Air dry what, jeans?
Yes.
No, that ain't happening.
To let
You
them
air-
not fade.
Yeah, so the color doesn't.
I just
fade.
wash them inside out.
Or you just spend a little bit of money for more good quality jeans, and then the color will
I
turn
wash
as
them in.
fast.
I mean, but after you worn them, after you worn them 10 times, they got to be washed at some point.
But I'm saying just, every time you wash them, just air dry them
Sure,
because the
like-
color will stay.
When we talk about that,
Watch your tone over there. Watch your mouth.
Clint, you're the only one that hasn't given your opinion, man. Just let it out, bro. Everybody has said theirs now, so this is usually when you turn around.
The only one that can really tell is his kid.
Every episode,
I'll tell you his opinion.
I'm about to say we can find out from
You know,
here.
his is the same as us. He will only watch like if he has to. Like
Thank
if
you. It's
been
not a bad
sweating or
thing.
if he
Thank
got
you.
stains on him. That's
that
when
the
he'll
same
watch
thing with his
them.
drawers? Is this why he doesn't want to talk about
Every day, all day. Oh, watch. We wear clean drawers over here, okay? Nobody gonna be smelling, okay?
That's right. That's some class.
Yeah, since y'all answered, it's pretty much the same. I just had to, see what y'all was talking about.
That's basically what he does.
I want to be judged, right?
Every show, if you go back and listen to all of the shows, Cleet will
He'll wait.
reserve his
He'll wait.
opinion, and then he'll be like, "Yeah, it's really good that you guys are saying all this."
So in essence, Cleet, you're slow to speak and quick to listen. It's a good trait.
Appreciate that,
But
bro.
no, Brian is a habitual liar, man.
Great
I
trait.
just understand where I'm coming from, man.
I don't judge.
You can't take his compliments, man. Every
man.
time he
That's
gives
my
you a
boy,
good,
man. He know.
If you don't go ahead and get this law degree, it's like
No,
make
I can see that. I can see him as a lawyer.
This dude will
He'll
spend
be a great lawyer.
all of Cleet's stupidity.
He'll get everybody
and
off.
just be like,
Yes, he'll get everybody.
You're doing good, man. You're doing good. You're doing great, man. You're doing great.
So they call you stupid because you listen and you don't speak quickly.
Yeah.
Do you consider these
see
people
that?
your friends?
I debate every day. Right? I should,
Oh man.
Anyway.
I appreciate it. That was just a little quick little something. It was something on my mind. So we're gonna get into a question that's a little bit deeper.
Thank you. A real
It's not
question.
asked-
Thank you.
It's
Thank
not
you.
asked, you. I don't know if anybody's gonna be able to find a little bit of humor in this, but if you do, you're a terrible person. Now, the question is to give you a background on it. There's been a few states, but the one that stood out the mostly in the news was Alabama. Now, what Alabama has done is they have put forth a law to ban abortion as a whole. Now, it's not saying that, if someone has an abortion, they'll get arrested. What they've done in turn is said that if a doctor performs an abortion, then that doctor can go to jail for basically, I think it's life, if I'm not mistaken. Or they could be up for something of that nature, just a severe penalty like that, which in turn makes it illegal to have an abortion, because if you're at the threat of your freedom, I don't know many doctors that would do it.
Right.
So the question is, as believers, because everyone in here, we all go to the same church, we're all believers, how do you feel about a law like this being passed? Especially now that we have the women in here as well. Of course, the guys, we're going to, chime in and say what we got to say. But how do you as a believer feel about this law being passed?
For me, with abortion, I've always been like, but it's just my personality. Like I'm not like, I don't want to say like a murderer, but it's not up to me to decide to take a life.
Right.
Like, I think that's a God decision. I'm sorry, what was the question? If the law that was passed, what do we feel about that?
Like,
the
what do you
doctors.
feel about them basically making it illegal to allow?
How do you feel about it? How do you feel about them passing a law to make it illegal? And also, feel free if you want to. If you have an opinion on abortion itself, it's okay.
Yeah, so those are my thoughts. Like, I just feel like growing up, like if a situation happened where I was placed in a situation, like someone forced themselves on me and I became pregnant. Like, if for me, I see it as God allowing that to happen. So I'm just Romans 8:28. You know, all things work together for the good, and I'm just going to trust God and me as a Christian, and bring this baby forth. It's not my decision to decide, oh, I'm just going to kill a life kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's a.
Wait, you said the ladies first before we chime in.
Go ahead.
You're right. No, you're right. You're right. Go ahead.
I don't think nobody would shut you down.
No.
Nah, go ahead.
Because we can dominate this stuff.
I don't know. I think it's a really hard topic. Not thinking about myself anymore, but thinking about my kids. I got 3 girls. So if something were to happen to, say, like Destiny, even with the example that you have, it's one of those hard things that you think about. It's like, okay, well, now she's being placed in a position that's not her fault. Mm-hmm. That had nothing to do with anything that she did, but someone attacked or harmed her. So now do we try to make a decision to move forward with it? Already knowing the hardships that you face in having a child out of wedlock, one, not having that help, it's already a challenge. But there's so many things that you look at, that others look at, or other situations that you're placed in, why people believe that it should be kept legal. Mm-hmm. It's just too many issues surrounding it, too many things. Sometimes it may be health related. Who knows? I have no idea, because there's whatever the point is that they will do it up to. I don't even know how far they will go up to, but I don't know. It's very trivial for me.
Yeah, I actually agree with Adrian. It's a very, very hard subject. And me and Brian was actually talking about it last night to just get prepared for the show, obviously. And as believers, just from a believer perspective, we're talking about how can you really legislate morality by saying, to make it illegal, we would have to make alcohol legal. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different things, so we can't choose one and forget everything else. You know what I'm saying? Sin is sin. So, and what about fornication? Shows. Homosexuality.
Yeah, it just opens a gate.
It just opens a gate. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's tough. It's tough. So, I don't know.
Preach good.
Well, okay. So this is Bree. For my opinion, I do agree. I just think forcing it on somebody's will because it's the person's decision to do whatever they want, just as, if they choose to sin, whatever sin it is, homosexuality, drunkenness, lie, killing people. If that's the case, like Merlandi said, you want to get rid of a baby, but then it's okay for people to just freely kill somebody. You might as well make that illegal.
It is illegal.
Well, it is illegal, but you get locked up. But then they're saying in the state, if I choose, it's a decision that I'm making, but then the doctor gets locked up, but the mother doesn't?
No, the mother, but in this case, the mother does get locked up too. That's what they're saying. If you take it, if you have an abortion.
I didn't even read
not
it.
in Alabama.
No.
Just
a doctor.
It's
just a doctor.
Just a doctor who performs it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right.
So
she's
I don't know. It's a touchy decision because I know people that actually got abortions, and depending on the scenario, but then there are ways. I don't know. I don't know. I've never read anybody getting abortions in the Bible, and but it's like, but if God doesn't force somebody if God doesn't force somebody to get saved, it's like we're trying to force somebody to not get an abortion. So it's like the person has a decision to do what they want, whether it's right or wrong. And at the end of the day, they'll have to answer to God for it. It's not my decision to make them answer for it. That's between them and God. I see it from my perspective.
Go ahead, bro. You got a lot of thoughts over there?
No, you were about to talk
You,
first.
yeah,
That's why-
you were about
you
to
were ready to jump in,
yeah,
man.
at the beginning.
No, I just thought it was going by couples. That's all.
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead, man.
Shoot.
So why would you talk?
Well, no, I'm just trying to see where to start. It's a heavy subject. I mean, it's a very polarizing subject, right? That's why it's one of those political topics. So yeah, Kim and I were talking about this as well, and I think
I went to bed.
but it's one of those things where it's very polarizing, right? It's like because there's so many variables. I think everyone is saying there's so many variables that go into what may make it right from one's perspective and what may make it wrong from another's perspective. I think me personally, I think there's a lot to it. So I was telling Kim in college, I was very much, basically becoming a believer in that period of time. I'm like, no one should ever take a life, right? And then you start to get into these stories you hear about, incest and rape and different things, different just freak stories of situations that happen where, young girls are subjected to things that become terror and horror for them. So, having a child that comes from that scenario becomes a constant reminder of that experience. So, so on one thought, you're like, you shouldn't take a life, but now you have this life that you bring into the world. And one may say, oh, yeah, just give them up for adoption. Well, that mother that had to carry that child has to think about that they gave up a child and this child is somewhere else in the world. And, they're not involved. So there's going to be a lot of emotional baggage involved in the scenario regardless. And I think there's no, I'm saying all this to say there's no real one answer to what's, what makes this right or wrong. I think if we stay on the subject of, is it right for them to pass a law, I think there should never be men making decisions for what happened to women. And from when I kind of researched this whole passing of this law, it was all men involved in this decision. So, without me diving into that whole world of pro-choice or anti-choice, just dealing with the what is it?
Pro-life.
Yeah.
Anti-choice.
And it's pro-choice? And it's pro-choice? I thought it was pro-choice. They say
Pro-choice or pro-life.
oh, pro-life.
That's
Okay,
but
yeah.
what you're saying is the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't.
There you go, now.
God,
You need
It's
to
not-
put this dude on retainer, bro.
Put him on the payroll.
Go ahead.
So, but without diving into that, because that's a whole world. As you can see, those scenarios I just pulled up, you could go in on that. But as far as this question here, I think it's morally wrong for men to make decisions about women's bodies. Like you cannot be telling, like you have nothing involved with that. Like, and it's easy for them to make these decisions until their wife, their daughter, their auntie, their whoever, maybe not their auntie, but you know what I'm saying, someone younger than them experience. Because he's some older man. He's older. So if your auntie having some stuff, that's freaky, right?
Lord.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, so that part right there, just that irked me. Like, they
So I have a
why are you
question.
making decisions about women?
So I have a question. So in the scenario where, say, a couple is married and they're happy and they get pregnant, but the wife don't want to have a baby and she goes have an abortion, what does the husband do?
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Like, that's another scenario. That's actually a good scenario. And the
And that's
husband's
what I'm
like, I
saying.
want to have the baby, but then I can't tell my wife what she want to do with her body.
Right. And then what if,
But that's
I mean,
like,
He can. He doesn't have the right to tell her what to do with her body.
but here's another thing. I haven't done enough research into
I
the
haven't done no research
situation
either.
on that. But what are the reasons why they are passing the law to eliminate it? What if they've encountered so many issues with people and their decisions?
Yeah.
For example, I do know someone who was pregnant and the guy wanted the baby, the girl didn't. but it was her choice. So he has to suffer and deal with a decision that they could not agree upon, and the decision was made. So there's so many different things. What if the states and all are encountering these different parts of it that we are not aware of, where people are not making good choices about the situation anyway? There are so many scenarios where anybody could think, oh, it's a good choice.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
If it's done by harm, or if it's, but when it's a decision that two people have made to cause that to happen, and then they want to make a decision of what they're going to do, that's a different
It was
thing.
consent when you had sex.
So there's no way to separate the two. It's either you do or you don't.
Yeah.
And ultimately, maybe they're trying to decide that we're just going to make the decision for you, regardless if it comes by way of a bad situation or consent. We're making the ultimate decision that we're not doing it anymore.
Right.
So you just never know.
So basically, just eliminate it all together.
Eliminate it all together.
I could see that, but it's the optics of it is still bad. Because
It's still bad.
It didn't have any. You didn't see any female legislators or anything involved in this decision from what
That's the sad thing, though.
from what I gathered. So
Right.
So yeah, that's the part that bothers me. But that's a perspective I didn't think about. That's unfortunate because there are a lot of scenarios with the husband or the boyfriend or whoever, the counterpart. They actually want the baby.
Right.
That's so
Right.
wrong,
And
man.
then if you look deeper, I don't know, when did it start? When did they start making this a procedure? Because at some point in time, it wasn't a procedure.
You talking about to have abortions?
Yeah, right. Where they begin to do it medically.
Oh, yeah.
This wasn't happening since, like...
There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, it's like since the beginning of the time. This wasn't like, early 1800s, like, oh, look, we got a new idea. We don't want to have these babies. Like, it's been happening. Like Sabrina mentioned that there's not a recording of the word abortion in the Bible, but it happened during biblical times, right? Like people just deciding that, hey, I don't want this pregnancy. And ultimately...
Actually, it is in... No, not really. No.
Where?
The other form. There was a form in the Bible where the guys were, to not have a baby, they would spill their seed.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the closest to, but it's another story.
So this is like really dumb, like all around, and because we are doing this pretense, this legislation under the will or under the pretense that this is what God wants, and that's stupid. Because
you saying these guys are passing this?
Correct. The pro-life is basically it's based in conservative Christianity that says like all life matters, and it does, and every single life is important. Every single life has a purpose. However, if the Lord Himself says, "I am knocking at your heart, but I have to be invited in to have a relationship with Him," why do we think that we can self-impose that this child needs to be born because it serves whose purpose? Whose purpose does this child serve? Now, I am 100% like, have the baby, all things work together for your good. I'm going to believe everything that can happen. But I am 100% against making someone make that choice. Mm-hmm. This is their choice. It is their body. They can make... people in all we reference like sin. In every case, a person can decide whether to lie, whether not to lie. Are we now going to legislate lying?
Right.
Right? Yeah. A person can decide whether to steal or whether to not steal. Stealing is legislated, thank God, because there's a sense, a sense that we understand that this is wrong to take someone else's property. However, when we come into like making decisions on what a person, if the First Amendment says that we can say whatever we want to in specific contexts, you can't say whatever you want to at work, and we're not going to take away their right to say, but we're going to tell them what they can do with the rest of their bodies. Like physiologically, I'm gonna tell you what you can do. That's wrong. Like us as people, never, especially as believers, never have the right to go up to someone who has not asked us and say, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Nobody in any religion, in any background, in any racial context has that right to just walk up to someone and say, boom, without being invited.
So what are your thoughts on the point Adrian brought up, where the counterpart wants the baby. The woman, she has the right to do what she want to do with her body. What do you think about that?
I think that there can be things put in place to try to prevent those situations that don't go all the way to legislating that you can't do this. Hey, do you know the father? Right? If you know the father, can we make them have steps to this particular situation? Right? Make it where, obviously, if it's a traumatic situation and something has traumatically happened, make them go through the necessary steps, reporting this situation to the police if it was, God forbid, a rape. And I understand that can be traumatic, but it's also important that this instance gets recorded so that this person doesn't do it to somebody else. So, and going through the necessary steps to say, hey, look, I really don't want to make this happen, because we all know that there are times in our lives when things happen, and I can't speak for a woman as far as rape is concerned or any type of sexual assault, but there are times in our life when things happen where we want to go back and we want to revisit a decision. We've made the decision because it's just like, oh my gosh, I want to be rid of it. And I've spoken to people who have done abortions after, and they've mentioned, I wish I would have thought about it just a little bit more before I just went and did it.
Right.
I was a little bit emotional, but I made my decision and I'm at peace with my decision. So if we can make that not crazy, like you got to wait officially 12 weeks to make this happen, but maybe a 1 to 2 week process that vets, hey, how this baby came here, what got you to this decision. But then ultimately, at the end of the day, it is the woman's decision. Like, we cannot, we as men are men, and we can't make a woman do anything, because the moment somebody tries to make us do something with our body, oh, absolutely not. We're going to stand up, we're going to cry from the hills, and we're going to get what we want because we are men, and that's the way society. Exactly.
Or we'll just chop it up.
You know what I mean? Like, or we will just get rid of the problem.
So chop up the penis.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Chop it up.
Whoa.
Stories.
Whoa.
Queen of the South, baby.
All right.
Yeah.
No, she's not.
Queen of shade.
We're gonna cut that out.
But we
That's
can't,
what she said.
like,
Cut it out.
We cut this whole part of the show.
What she said. You gotta listen.
delete. Lord. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is that woman's body, and I am in no position to tell my wife, my mother, my aunt, my daughter what you are and what you're not going to do with your body.
I hear you, dog.
Yeah. I look at it from quite a few angles. First, so I think someone asked what was the root of abortions or even this more recent push in legislation. It's political. That's first and foremost. They're trying to overturn Roe versus Wade. And the reason they're doing it now, because there has been a resurgence of supremacy, of white supremacy, that's been echoed by the dumbest president we've ever had in the history of this country.
Right.
And he's meandering to a base. He was able to nominate a justice to the Supreme Court who sides with the hypocritical conservative Christian movement. And so now they believe that the time is now to overturn that Roe versus Wade ruling, which they believe serves as a pillar against their agenda. So to what I say to people who are ardent Roe versus Wade supporters, and they may truly be, very, very staunch supporters and have a conviction in the preserving of lives of infants. Are you as active with Black Lives Matter movement? Do you love people? Are you as active when an unarmed citizen gets killed by a sworn police officer whose job is to uphold the laws of the land? So you can care about an infant, but you don't care about this other situation.
Right.
Mm-hmm. How can we differentiate love? If it's love, then you care about all of that.
Right.
One of the things that MLK said a long time ago is that you can't legislate morality. You just can't do it. And we operate under this guise that America is a Christian nation. It's not.
It's not.
Right.
It's not. This is not a Christian nation.
Bro. Like, so legislating morality, all right, I agree to a certain extent with that statement, but like, is not like saying murder is wrong, legislating morality?
You can regulate behavior,
Okay,
but you
cool.
can't legislate morality.
Okay, cool.
And so there are some fundamental principles and fundamental rights that people are endowed to. And one, you shouldn't have to fear your life.
Right.
That is something that no one gave you, and no one should be able to take that away. Yeah. And so I'm not saying you don't have laws of a land. So you can regulate behavior. Yeah. I'm for a land
and stuff like that.
I'm for a land that has regulations that would ensure a person's safety and ensure a person's property. Yeah. But again, once you go down that slope, now you get into a place to where you're trying to delineate what's good, what's bad, you almost have a hierarchy of bad and good in a sense that, well, we'll regulate abortion and we'll outlaw homosexuality, but fornication ain't as bad because two men is worse than married man and a married woman or a married man and an unmarried woman. So now who's the judge? How do we decide that? Who puts us in a position? So now it's led by agenda. So if I got an anti-homosexual agenda, now, okay, well, we'll outlaw homosexuality. But again, hypersexuality, you can have 4 or 5 different women or 4 or 5 different men that you ain't married to. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Man, Utah's a wholly different story.
So Christians are not the purveyors of morality in America. Yeah. And we've been the biggest hypocrites to a large extent. And like I said, we were talking last night, we celebrate the philanderer. We celebrate the hypersexual person. We watch shows that, to where everybody's sleeping with everybody. Yeah. But at the same time, a Brokeback Mountain come on, oh no, we're not watching it. Both of them are wrong. Why don't we have the same exact outcry when we watch these shows that have everybody and their mama sleeping around with everybody?
Right.
But then when Brokeback Mountain come out, and again, I'm against both of them. That's me. And that's how the Christian faith should be. No, homosexuality is wrong and fornication is wrong. One is not greater or lesser than the other.
Amen. And preach.
And so that's, again, that's just my tangent on the hypocrisy of Christianity. As far as being the purveyors of what's right and wrong, there is a standard. The standard is the Word of God.
Shut up.
And so that's what that's how we have to make sure that we are walking in. Are we walking in love? Is this current debate of overturning Roe versus Wade, is that in love? Have we?
No, it's an agenda.
Is it? No. Thank you. It's not.
Yes,
it's politically motivated. Yeah. There is absolutely no foundation of love in this. We can say it is, but it's honestly, it's not. It's political. Yeah. And so as Christians, we've got to be aware of stuff like this and not be caught in the whims or in the ebbs and flows or in the tides of what's popular. So that's where I stand on it, man. Like 100% what Wayne said. Look, I can't legislate what someone does with their body. God made us all free moral agents. He gave us a will. Yeah. We will have to answer to him.
Yeah, that's good.
But he's the only one we should have to answer to.
Right.
You don't have to answer to me.
Right.
We can say, well, abortion is a sin. Well, anything not of faith is sin.
Right.
You can say, you know what? I ain't have faith to have this baby. You know what? I'm not God.
Yeah.
I'm not God. He gave us his word, and so we know how we are expected to live. And that clearly says that judge not, lest ye be not judged. And again, that doesn't mean I can't say that a certain act is sin or a certain act is wrong. Of course, that it's written there. But again, I'm not the judge. I'm not the executioner. I'm not condemning you. Christ didn't even come to condemn the world.
Yeah.
So, all of a sudden we sit in this position where we want to judge and condemn. Nah, man, I'm not with it. That's not it. Somebody has gone and undergone the act, I love them. If somebody hasn't, they're against it, I love them still. Love is what we're supposed to exude, and that's how we're supposed to operate. Right. And to answer, I believe it was Adrian's question, what if the husband wants it, wife doesn't? Biologically, the woman is the only one who can have a baby.
That's what I'm saying.
Period. So even going into a marriage, I better have the understanding that if I want to have the kids and she doesn't, we ain't gonna have no kids because she doesn't want to. I can't be like, well, I'm gonna change her mind. I'm gonna try to get her pregnant. I can't do nothing about it. And that's something. And that's something as a man in this very patriarchal and misogynistic society we live in. I've got to understand it. You know what? I can't do that. Only a woman can have a baby.
Right.
And
And if she doesn't want to have a baby and y'all decided that and you didn't want to be with her, that's something you decide before you get into the marriage.
Exactly.
Oh,
You had to pass around the
I was about to
offering
say,
plate.
we got
Pass around the
to put an offering together for this brother.
Good clothes right there. That's a
Pass the
good
offering
clothes.
plate.
Oh, go ahead, Cash App. I take Cash App.
Well said, my brother. Well said.
That was good. I like
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, that's
Well, forget everything I said. You know what I'm saying?
I can't follow
That's what
that.
I was trying to say. You know, he just said.
Everything that Brian said is exactly what I was going to
That
say.
in the
He
script
just
to
said
me,
it in a
so
more
you know I have
eloquent
my.
way.
Did you say your thoughts?
I didn't say anything.
Move on.
There's no I didn't even get a chance. I should have went first then.
Yeah, you should have. You said let me let the women speak first.
Hey,
What's your
listen,
opinion?
My opinion is everything that Brian said is right on point.
Hey, and again, there could be some flaws in my narrative.
No,
but this is
no,
just
no,
what
No, I
I
absolutely agree.
I'm not
Flaws
any
in
type of
it.
authority on it. That's me.
It was spot on, and I mean it echoed the majority of what we all thinking here.
Yeah.
And I mean I appreciate it,
You
bro.
said
That's
it
why I just
like
let you go
perfect.
in, man.
I think that's a good like breakdown I've ever like.
Yeah. So like
From a
all I was
Christian's
going to say
perspective.
was I believe in free will. That's what
Choice.
God gave us. He gave us free
He
will.
gives us choice.
Just
So
need that in the script.
I can't. I don't go around saying that a woman, shouldn't do this and she shouldn't do that. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to love. The two most important commandments?
Love that brother. And as you love yourself. What?
Love God, love people.
God.
Love God, love people.
And love your neighbor as yourself. So yeah, you're
I'm
right.
trying to do Jesus on. Okay. I don't know Old Testament one. I'm trying to do the new one. It's like
Love God, love people.
No, man. So I really appreciate the discussion because, like I said, this we could have just talked about how we felt as men, but it definitely it brings it full circle and it comes together and it gels more cohesively when you have women in the building and they're expressing how they feel, because now you're getting both sides of it, and you actually get different points of view as far as the questions that you may not have even thought of yourself. So that was I really appreciate that, and that's gonna be it for this one. So from me, my lovely wife Adrian, my boy Diddy Rowe, aka you already know the first time he said something, Merlot, Miss Kim, Cleet the Geek, G Dub, and Miss Sabrina. We out.